questions for teachers and for people thinking teaching is not just for teachers in education. Anyone who's a teacher, someone who's a boss, someone who's to train other people, a parent with their kids. These questions apply to all kinds of different situations like that. It's not just teaching in school. Whenever we have to train someone in something intellectual and ideas, these come up. And, well, shockingly enough, this is in a book by John Dewey. I listen to How We Think on Audible so I can see what John Dewey has to say so I can dislike him accordingly instead of secondhand, tertiary hand, 10th removed, oh, I heard or I thought he said, as some people do. It's pretty noxious that some people attack other people without knowing what the hell they actually said. They just make stuff up. I've never read this author, but I hate what they say. Shut the hell up, people, and read. Thank you to those of you who actually know what someone says before you say something to other people. Thankfully, thank you to those who don't just mouth off. Thank you to those of you who actually respect other people and their ideas and don't lie about them. Thank you to those of you who are helping to create a good culture and to appreciate what other people say. Be like Daniel Dennett. His rules for criticizing with kindness. We should be able to repeat what someone says, like say it back in terms so well said that the other person says, oh, I wish I would have put it like that. And we need to say how we agree with them. We need to say, on stuff that's not just like common, but stuff that's common, but especially if it's not as common, how we agree. What we learn from them, then criticize. Or some kind of shorter view, like form of that process. We don't always have time to go through all that, but that's what we should do. But when we say something about someone that we don't understand, we have to think, do we really want a world that way? Because that's what we're making when we do that. We are making a world. We are reinforcing. We are telling other people that we want a world. We are making it real. We are realizing the general idea that we can mouth off about someone without understanding them. We can lie. We can manipulate. We can misrepresent. We can say things we don't know what the hell we're talking about. And it's proper and appropriate. Me, and I know some of you, thank goodness, no way in hell I want that kind of society. It's already enough as it is. Yeah. But I'm reading Dewey so I can see what he said and know that I disagree on my own. I've read some stuff, I've heard some stuff about him and all that, read a little bit, but need to dig in more so I can understand him better and criticize him intelligently and honestly. But in how we think, and we do come across some stuff where we agree, and it's important to know. So here in How We Think, he says, he's got some good questions. So I'll put a link in, or I can just maybe copy and paste. This is from How We Think by John Dewey. What is it? Published 1909, I think. And he doesn't know really how we think. He can make some mistakes, but that's a subject for other videos. So he says here, I'll start quoting in this one section. I think, this section, chapter is entitled Recitation and Training of Thought. Teaching in a classroom, kind of like. So, quote, lack of any preparation on the part of a teacher leads, of course, to a random, haphazard recitation. Its success depending on the inspiration of the moment, which may or may not come. Preparation in simply the subject matter conduces to a rigid order, the teacher examining pupils on their exact knowledge of their text. But the teacher's problem as a teacher does not reside in mastering a subject matter, but in adjusting a subject matter to the nurture of thought. Now, the formal steps indicate excellently well the questions a teacher should ask in working out the problem of teaching a topic. What preparation have my pupils for attacking this subject? What familiar experiences of theirs are available? What have they already learned that will come to their assistance? How shall I present the matter so as to fit economically and effectively into their present equipment? What pictures shall I show? To what objects shall I call their attention? What incidents shall I relate? What comparisons shall I lead them to draw? What similarities to recognize? What is the general principle toward which the whole discussion should point as its conclusion? By what applications shall I try to fix, to clear up, and to make real their grasp of this general principle? What activities of their own may bring it home to them as a genuinely significant principle? No teacher can fail to teach better if he has considered such questions somewhat systematically. But the more the teacher has reflected upon pupils' probable intellectual response to a topic from the various standpoints indicated by the 5 formal steps, the more he will be prepared to conduct the recitation in a flexible and free way, and yet not let the subject go to pieces and the pupil's attention drift in all directions. The less necessary will he find it in order to preserve a semblance of intellectual order, to follow some one uniform scheme. He will be ready to take advantage of any sign of vital response that shows itself from any direction. Unquote. But some actually good stuff here. Good questions. Good questions that should be given to every teacher in their training and discussion. Should be like in their teacher training stuff and like printed out on a sheet of paper and like taped to the desk. It doesn't seem like, clearly if you think about your own teaching, about how some teachers yell and stuff, why don't you know this? I'm not going to tell you. I hear that way too much in private tutoring, talking to students and stuff. I'm not going to tell you. We probably know that from our experience. Or how often do bosses training people do this? What does it come up in like training? Did they really take this seriously? Not enough. Some people do, clearly, of course. But it needs to be more widespread because every individual deserves it. We should have a good society. So what preparation do the pupils have for the subject? The particular pupils, you got to think in general, but what about the ones you are teaching in a particular class? This class versus this class, this year versus this year. What familiar experiences of theirs are available? What have they already learned? And this is a nice question. How shall I present the matter so as to fit economically and effectively into their present equipment? Awesome, yes. Economically, effectively, without a waste of time, profitably. What can you use? Again, what comparisons and similarities and contrasts, the big picture. What's the general principle that the discussion should go towards? And it's good, he points out, when you get better and you've mastered the subject, then you're more flexible and agile to different things happening, and you don't freak out. Been there, done that. We all do that when we're learning to teach new stuff. Even if we've gotten good at teaching one thing, we have to have the wisdom and mental agility to go back to a place where we're going to trip and fall and fail again, and know that we're going to work out of that and become better at some place. But then having that prior experience, we know how to kind of prevent it a little bit more in the first place. But good questions. Remember, general principle in the class. What is it about? Instead of just oh, I'm going to go talk and I got this and this and this and this and this to do to the students. No. What's the general principle? How are you going to convey this material? How do you connect it to what students have learned before? Not imagining what they've learned before, but what real people in the real world have learned. How do you know? And how are you going to like go through the steps to lead to the principle like a geometric proof? And how are you going to make it significant? How is it going to be shown to be a genuinely significant principle? Good stuff for every person, every teacher, and everyone who serves as a teacher in some respect in their lives. I'll put the questions in the description field so they can be read, studied, thought about, savored, integrated into your thinking. So some of this, again, like in a good teaching, then some of it becomes automatic. You're teaching someone and you're not going to stop it like you would at the beginning. Wait. I need to think about what they already know. I need to look at similarities and differences. It becomes automatic, like someone who's learned to play some piece. They can just play the piano and look around and see what's going on and still be playing it with feeling. Something like that. Or someone who's learned some martial arts but can adapt it into a street fight or whatever. But good questions. Good food for thought. Peace.